from the plush marketing offices of Blackstone Media on the 9th floor of the Starks Building in downtown Louisville, Kentucky. It is Bourbon Wine Down Friday with your host, Stephen Von Gerlacher.
Hey, everybody. Just got out of my glass here. Today we're going to talk about Larceny, which I believe is Heaven Hill's most recent bourbon that Adam is pouring up right now. Go around, do a quick introduction, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the initial view of the bourbon, and then we're going to taste it and give you a gladiator review, which is a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
And maybe a little bit of history in between there.
Yeah, and we know a little bit of history, so we'll try to get that in as well. So we have Rich Barber, Adam DeSeffi, Shane Logsdon, Eric Snyder, Mark Hagan. I'm Stephen Von Gerlacher. That is your tasting panel. We unfortunately have 6 members. We just may have gotten a 7th, so Shala just joined us.
Shala. Welcome back, Shala.
Hey.
Hi. So pull a chair up, girl.
We also have Shala Madavi, who will be our tiebreaker.
Actually, you got to grab a spot on the power couch.
That's nice.
Or the super sofa.
We have just enough bourbon left for Shala to get a snort here.
So now we're up to 7.
A snort.
And we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about the color and a little bit about the nose that we're getting. So there's or maybe we should even start with the story. We're gonna start with the story.
You guys want to hear a story about?
Start with the story.
While Shala's pouring out, let's hear what's up.
Okay,
that's
a little bit of history.
Let me grab this bottle real quick. This is going to be kind of a unique looking bottle on your bourbon shelf at your local liquor store. It's kind of shaped like a keyhole and kind of goes along with the story. So John E. Fitzgerald was a revenuer. Back in the days, that was the person that was responsible for collecting taxes, and the government tends to collect a lot of tax on bourbon. So, this one guy in particular, John E. Fitzgerald, went around to the government-owned warehouses. These were bonded warehouses where bourbon was stored, and he had the keys to all of them, and he'd go in there, ostensibly to make sure that what they had on the books matched what they had in the warehouse, but he also had a tendency to sample, if you will, some of the best barrels. And he actually became known for having a really good taste, a really good nose for what good bourbon was. And later, he actually got out of the government business and started making his own bourbon. It was known as Old Fitzgerald. You can still find Old Fitzgerald out there. It's still a brand, also owned by Heaven Hill. But in the same spirit, if you will,
I see what you did there,
of that drink, they've come up with Larceny, which is, like Old Fitzgerald, a wheated bourbon. It is a little bit higher proof, 92, and I think it's a better expression of the Old Fitzgerald legacy than actually the Old Fitzgerald itself, if you ask me.
It's larceny and irony. So it's a mix of 6-year-old bourbon and 12-year-old bourbon, which I think makes it pretty unique. As far as the taste goes,
Larceny and irony. I think that was like a Michael Jackson and Paul McCartney song.
Yes,
back,
yes, you're right.
It was.
About a decade or two ago.
Are you gonna sing it for us?
Well, so let's talk about what it smells like.
Irony.
So what do you guys think it smells like?
Bourbon.
It's true.
Smell like bourbon.
That smells similar to bourbon. I wouldn't call it 100%.
A lot of bourbon.
And a little bit of marzipan.
A lot of grandma's breath.
Some definite hint of marzipan.
It doesn't have that note of terribleness that Kentucky Gentleman has.
We've been using the Kentucky Gentleman for bets around the office. Like if you lose in a competition of ping pong or something like that, you have to take a shot of Kentucky Gentleman.
Yeah,
which is ridiculously bad.
Don't do that.
I had to take 2 this afternoon.
Even if you're down here last $6.99.
Don't do it.
Spend it on.
Do not do it.
No, take it to the boat. Try to double that money and grab a bottle of Larceny.
Yeah, panhandle 70 cents and get some Barton.
So that's the situation right now. Eric was pointing out the Larceny is $2 more expensive than a bottle of Maker's Mark. However, right now it's typically about $2 more than Maker's Mark. But right now there is a $10 off.
$10 off. So brings it down to about $12. There's a limit of 2 per household. So you should pretty much be putting on pants right now, going out and getting some.
An interesting.
None of our listeners are wearing pants, just so we're clear.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you when you're at home?
Well, they're Redditors, right? So when in my liquor store that I go to, Old Town Liquors, they had the little airplane bottles of Larceny. This is how I found it. They were having set out at the counter. They were selling for like 99 cents a piece, so you can't pass that up.
No.
And I thought it was going to be horrible, but I bought one and took it home, tried it. It was really good. I was really surprised, and it is very good bourbon. So
I actually found that on our Life Tips. I was digging through, and somebody did a thing that says, "Hey, by the way, quick life tip: you can get those bottles of booze and bring them on the plane with you because they're underneath the liquid amount, and you can bring them in and just throw them into a clear plastic bag."
oh, sweet.
Excellent.
That's
And
why
then
they
you
call
don't
them
have to
airplane
buy the-
bottles.
Now on.
Yeah, it saves you $5 a bottle, right? They like $6 per
Exactly.
shot on the
That's
plane.
fantastic.
But you do look real shady when you like bust it out of your bag and like pour it.
Oh,
in your cup.
this.
We're shady all the time anyway.
Yeah, right,
so,
that's
true.
you know.
It'll be me clutching my briefcase that really gets them.
Keep it under my
Undercutting the
turban.
airlines and everything.
Well, all right. So let's go ahead and get into the tasting. Is anybody getting anything on the nose? I get a little bit of sweetness,
Caramel.
a little bit of sugar.
It is kind of sugary.
I'm
Yeah,
definitely getting some citrus.
Some,
Sugar and
some
spice.
toffee.
Thank you. I
Everything
thought
nice.
it was kind of orangey, citrusy. I mean,
Great for an old fashioned.
I think they're
That would be good
for an
ads
old-fashioned.
kind of got a honey nose or something like that.
Which would, be,
You know,
which
and-
would follow along with the sweet sugar.
and don't get me wrong, this is definitely bourbon, but it kind of reminds me of smelling Grand Marnier a little bit. Sweet,
I thought you were going to say
orangey.
grandma.
I also thought that.
Grandma doesn't
Reminds
smell
me of
like this
smelling
at all.
grandma.
Really awkward.
Back when I was smelling grandma.
Could have gone anywhere.
Yeah, it really could
Right.
have gone.
Smell your grandmother.
Well,
The good old Kentucky chew.
this is one of the better bourbons that I've had to date. We put together our list, so people who've been following the podcast realize that we have a leaderboard. We have since branched out from the leaderboard because I think we're up to 22 tastings.
22.
If you like 22 individual bottles, we've had I think 26 or so plus of actual different bottles float through. But of the 22, we have organized our 1 through 22 list of this is what I think is the best. And we're going to do the comparison of those lists and then put together the ultimate leaderboard, which would be the panel synced up together and try to really rank a few of these bourbons.
And is that actually going to go up on Bourbon Trail Explorer?
Yeah, we can make it an open document. We can make it so other people can see it and kind of see where we are with what we're trying. So I'm fresh out, which is funny because that's what happens when you put 7 people on a bottle of bourbon. It just flies quickly out of here.
It's gone.
You got enough in there. There's a little bit for it.
But it
Yeah, Larceny's no
Angel
good.
shade.
That's why it went so fast.
Right. And this is our first bottle of Larceny that we've had?
yes.
Yes.
Oh, it
It's,
is.
well,
Yeah.
and this is
Tried
what
it
Bernie
3
bought
weeks ago.
a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, with Bernie.
And so now we decided to go ahead and use this as our tasting for the week to give it the attention that it deserves.
And so what I did on my first go round is I'm also kind of in the same boat as these people not named Eric. I'm not good at like picking out flavors. I don't have the experience with the flavors. I don't have the kind of taste palette for it. But I do, I can do the novice things like sense burn, and I feel like this bourbon has a good burn to it. Like a lot of them have bad burns. Shane can talk about KG for a little
Yep,
bit.
straight up.
It's bad. That's a bad burn
Yeah.
that you don't want to be a part of.
yeah.
But this one has like a good lingering effect. It kind of like it's a warm. It's not a harsh burn. It's a very soft, mellow kind of burn that does stay with you, and that's something that I noticed aside from taste.
That is true. It's not quite as deep as a burn as a Booker's.
Right. Oh yeah.
I mean, it's not even close.
Not many are.
No, not many
Not many
are. And that's not necessarily a good or bad thing. But
Depends on your preference.
Yeah.
Sure.
Mhm.
Sure.
this definitely is within my realm of heat. I like this a lot. But I also like Booker's, but there's been a few others that we've had that just they didn't sit well with me. Just I don't know, something about them, even though they had the burn that I like, the aftertaste flavor I guess just didn't sync up with me. So this one's not like that.
Would you guys mix this with anything? Would you say, for instance, Derby's coming up in a couple of months here? Would you actually make a julep out of this?
I could.
I don't make juleps. I'm not a julep fan. So personally, if I'm making anything with this, I'd probably do an old fashioned.
Yeah, this
though,
would be great for old fashioned.
yeah, because it already has that citrus,
Right. Right.
and it's pretty damn smooth.
It's very
I
simple.
think it would also make a good Manhattan as well.
Or Manhattan, yeah.
Could.
I was thinking old fashioned because of the citrus notes, but
But to Rich's point, we are in Louisville, Kentucky, home of the Kentucky Derby, and mint julep is the drink of the Kentucky Derby.
Absolutely. Just a little bourbon, a
knows
little
why?
simple syrup.
Yeah, no one
and
knows
some
why.
mint.
We need
And
to give
ice,
it a
of
go.
course. You got to have crushed ice.
crushed ice.
For the podcast, I feel like we have to make some mint juleps out of some of our favorite bourbons.
And I think that's a...
Or have them made for us.
I think we will have a Derby podcast
Have them made for
coming
us,
up
yeah.
here. Probably a week or two before
Does anybody
Derby.
know any bartenders?
And we should...
We'll get some
do
bartenders.
that.
We'll get some bars that we can go to.
I used to bartend.
Shallow's got the connect.
I make a good mint julep. Yeah.
Well, you're on the
It's
crew
got to
team.
be in a sterling silver cup, too.
Has
Hell
to.
yeah.
Fresh out of those.
Yeah.
We do have some nice
I actually
plastic
have sterling silver cups at home that I
I
could
think,
bring.
I think we steal some out of our
Did you
boss's
rob some old
office.
British people? Where'd you get sterling silver?
Well, all
I'm
right.
not sure where we got them. I think my dad gave them to us.
I think we hit up kind of the essential tasting notes. A little bit of wheat, a little bit of sweet. So now we can do our Gladiator review.
Yeah, let's give it a
which I'm
review.
a big fan of. So if you just want to give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, and say why or why not, we'll start with Rich and then work our way around back to me.
All right, I think, it's a thumbs up. It's a great bourbon. I don't give many bourbons the thumbs down, if you've noticed.
Kentucky Gentleman.
Well,
Not-
Kentucky Gentleman
it's a bourbon
That's not
blend.
really a bourbon.
It's not really
Kentucky
a bourbon.
Yeah, it's a
Gentleman.
blend.
But,
That's why it's
Excuse
not.
I mean,
me,
Larceny,
sorry.
when I was doing my top 5 earlier, I think it's, from the bourbons that we've tasted so far, I think it's in my top 5. It's balanced. It's a good, balanced bourbon.
All right, Adam?
this is definitely one of my favorite bourbons. It's really smooth,
Bold
really
statement.
approachable. It tastes great. I'd definitely put this in my top 3.
Can't beat the price either,
You really can't beat the price.
No.
It is
especially with the
really-
discount. I'll
Yeah.
probably go pick up a couple of bottles on my way home.
Oh, I know I will. I will as well.
Yeah.
Shala, your thoughts?
I agree. It's definitely one of my top bourbons. I'm still a little torn between this and the Basil Hayden's, which we still need to do a review
Basil
of.
Hayden's.
But this is one of my top ones, and I actually went and bought a bottle a couple weeks ago after we tasted it with Bernie. 'cause
You
I
did
liked
your
it so
job,
much.
Bernie. Very good.
Yeah, good job, Bernie.
Thank you, Bernie.
Thank you, Bernie.
We'll be thanking Bernie every podcast.
Yes.
from here on.
Yeah.
Shane, your thoughts?
I've already have a bottle of Larceny at home that I had before the Bernie episode.
Right? Yeah, hipster.
That it just happened to happen
Dang.
that way because I received it as a gift and I was interested in it before, got it as a gift, started drinking it, thought it was awesome. I missed the podcast with Bernie, but he brought it in, and I was happy to know that it was there. But it's definitely a great bourbon, and all around, it's up there. I wouldn't say it's at the top of my list, but it's definitely up there.
Yeah.
So I will definitely give it a thumbs up.
Nice.
For the price point, definitely.
Yeah.
Especially if we're talking about with discount. It does have a good round flavor like you'd expect from a lot of wheated bourbons. That caramel, that vanilla. It is a little bit hot and somewhat astringent on the finish, but that's easily overlooked considering the price point. And I think the finish is actually is quite long. Starts out hot and it's very long finish, and I'll put up with a little bit of astringency for the kind of citrus notes that you're left with, which are really quite nice.
I also am going to give this a thumbs up. I hate to be just like all of us are in on this, but we kind of knew going into this podcast where this bourbon was probably
we liked
gonna
it. That's
be.
why we reviewed it.
Absolutely. And that's not necessarily why we reviewed it. We may have to break into that Kentucky Gentleman, that KG, just to show that we are willing to review anything.
No.
Oh, now everybody's opting out of that. Well, I do have to say I enjoy this bourbon.
Mule piss, wind down Friday.
Ugh.
Yeah.
No, it was nasty, guys. It was nasty.
It's all bad.
So
What else is new?
it is a fantastic bourbon, and I look forward to picking up a couple bottles to add to my home collection. And I'll probably continue to drink this on the regular.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm the last vote in here.
Downvoted.
And- yeah. Well, my thing is, I would pull the old Caesar where you kind of go middle and see what the crowd says. So
Yeah.
go up with it. I think it's very good for what it is. It's not going to blow your doors off. It's not going to be like.
Right.
It's not going to be like, this is the value buy of the century. It's not going to be like, oh my gosh, the flavors in this are so complex, or this is a terrible bourbon. It's very much in the bell curve, if you will. So I would put it somewhere in that middle area. If you like bourbon, I'd give it a shot. You're not going to be disappointed. You're not going to spit it out. You're going to say, oh, huh, that was interesting.
Right.
And I think when I had this idea, I kind of had it in mind to where someone's like, I heard of Larceny, but I don't know whether or not I should try it. And so the consensus here is that you should try it, just so you can say you've had it, and if you love it, pick it up on discount. If you love it, pick it up on regular price. Do whatever. But it is a very good overall bourbon. So
I know a couple of us have actually ranked it in the top 5, looking at the spreadsheet so far. I'm included in that. I think I have it as number
We've got
5.
hundreds of bourbons to go, and
Yeah,
eventually
we
we'll
do.
get to them all.
Yeah, that's right.
And so I can't wait to see how that list changes over time.
Yeah.
all right, so it got a unanimous Gladiator approval. So if you haven't had Larceny yet, try it. If you have had it, try it again. And
Never can hurt.
we have to thank a couple people with this podcast. We do have to thank our fine friends at Blackstone Media for giving us the space here, which is really, really nice, and for giving us all jobs, so that allows us to be here.
And
Yeah, and so and then we also need to thank Bernie Lubbers for donating this wonderful product. If you want to have your product reviewed by us,
Bernie, we need more.
yeah, Bernie, we're running a little dry, man. But if you have something you want us to review, if you're listening and you think this might be worthwhile, if you know someone who says, yeah, I got bottles per month, whatever, we will review it. Anything, Kentucky Gentleman to George T. Stack.
Anything.
You got that White Lightning from the Still in the Creek? We'll do it.
And congratulations, Stephen, for coining a new phrase for us. It's in the bell curve.
It's in the bell curve.
like it.
So the last thing I have to do is just sign off. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I won't introduce you again because we did it in the front. But subscribe on iTunes if you haven't already. And if you're listening in Sweden, Australia, or Canada, thank you for now. We are Bourbon Trail International.
Yes, exactly.
We now have international listeners. So if you're hearing this and you live there, thanks for downloading.
Thank you.
BourbonTrailExplorer.com.
BourbonTrailExplorer.com. Thanks, Richard.
See you next week.
Cheers.